public service space to keep our college community connected on an abundance of issues facing our community, county, country, and world. Starting in June 2020, Conversation with Colleagues has offered a space for presenters to start a dialogue on a variety of topics from social justice to mental health to historical lessons and allowed us to speak with members of the CAC community who might not otherwise have a forum. Welcome to today's Conversation with Colleagues. We invite you to speak up and be heard in today's conversation.
Welcome, everybody. It's 3 o'clock, and that means it's time for Conversation with Colleagues, the 1 hour segment where we sort of let go of all of the silos and we let go of status and we let go of titles and we come together as a community of people sharing and participating in forums that are specifically designed to inform, instruct, and inspire our college community on a variety of issues. The Conversation with Colleagues now operating in its 3rd year, and we're very proud of that. We're also going to be making an application here soon for the Achieve the Dream conference. We've been asked to do that, and we're we're very happy about that. The advisory team is happy, so we can take this on the road to the Achieve the Dream conference in Chicago and present it to other schools in an effort to get them involved in following our format and follow our practice and our design for effectively bringing together collegiality, campus, and community building. And that's what Conversation with Colleagues has been able to do. One of the things we do is discuss issues, whether it's in the county, the community, the college, or the country. Today, we're going to hit all of those areas because we're going to talk about something that's very, very important to all of us. 21 million Americans last year had at least one mental health or depression episode. As times start to get darker now, we're losing a little bit of daylight, and now it's getting darker faster. People are beginning to notice their mood changes a little bit, and they have some of that kind of seasonal depression. But that certainly is something that affects all of us at some point or another. And sometimes it's not necessarily depression, but it's just that we have the blues, a kind of feeling of sadness, a sort of foreboding feeling. And as we come toward the holidays, a time that's supposed to be happy and festive, there we notice that people suffer these episodes in even greater form. Not only depression, but anxiety, loneliness. And if you've lost someone we're here last year and they're not going to be here this year, then you have also suffered or will be suffering grief. We tried to find somebody that would talk about that, and we did, in fact, find someone. And as usual, and as is the case with Conversation with Colleagues, we go inside our own ranks, inside our own college to find expertise. And we found it. Someone who will come and talk to us about mental health and talk to us about some of these conditions. And our speaker for the day is Dr. Steve Ornelas. And let me just highlight one thing before we bring him on. Wants to highlight, he has a website, Remember to Breathe. Life, it's a kind of a life coaching. I'm sure that Dr. O will talk a little bit about that, but more specifically, he wanted to highlight Remember to Breathe Community Forum, where his podcast lives. And Dr. O is going to talk a little bit about that and let you know that he's providing a link to the community membership for 25% discount. There is a 7-day free trial with the monthly or early membership. Dr. O is no stranger to Conversation with Colleagues, and he's certainly no stranger to community, to our Central Arizona College. He's the former chair of the Social and Behavioral Sciences Division. That means he's my former boss. And I had an excellent time working with Dr. O, who taught me a lot of things about being the chair. And so I want to have it is my pleasure at this time to welcome back to Conversation with Colleagues, Dr. Steve Ornelas. Steve? I think you're muted.
How's this?
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Hey, man, it's
all
good
right.
to see you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you haven't
I
changed a
haven't
bit.
seen you in a while. Hey, but listen, thank you very much for doing this for us. Not only is this a good topic, but it's timely as we head off into the holidays, and we could think of no other person to present a presentation on the types of things that we want to cover in terms of mental health than you. And you've done an excellent job in doing these presentations. I know you did your TED Talk, in which you did a similar kind of thing. And so I'm going to step aside, get out of the way so you can do your thing. And then after you're finished, we'll be right back to talk to you a little bit more.
Sounds good.
Everybody, Dr. Steve Ornelas.
All right. So let's see, how are we doing here? Can you see, what can you guys see right now? Just want to make sure that you can see my
We see your
beginning
camera.
slide. You can see,
We just see you right now.
you just see me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have a PowerPoint that I'd like to go over if you don't mind. I mean, I don't know if that's necessary at this point, but
It's the share button on the upper right-hand side next
upper
to the
right,
leave.
up, upper right hand, show, share. Technical difficulties in the portion of our show. Please stand by. I'm sorry. Where am I clicking?
You'll see an arrow and a white box with share underneath it. You'll click that, and then you'll see an area that says Windows. And then you click on that, and within those windows, you'll click the application you want to share.
Gotcha. Okay, let's go with that one. Okay. What are you seeing? Okay, are you seeing the
Yep.
the presentation?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Perfect.
Just the slide itself, correct?
That's correct.
Not my mini slides. All right. It's been a while since I've done the conversations with colleagues, but thank you for inviting me back. And Derek, Dr. D, I again agree with you that these are times right now that are even more crazy than, to use a psychology term. But they're really kind of unsettling for a lot of people, both with what's going on in the world and what I'd like to focus on whenever I talk about with the life coaching or in my classes too as well, is I'd like talking about really focusing on what we can control in our lives. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be focusing a little bit on a presentation that my wife and I had done for the Florence Juvenile Courts training a number of years back. It was before COVID. And we called it Negative Drunk Monkeys versus Positive Zen Monkeys. And I'll explain to you how I came up with that. And we'll go through a number of things that, let's see. Go to the next one. Where is it? Ta-da. All right. So today's purpose, what we're going to be doing is I want to talk about peace of mind. Okay, because that's one of the things that is being challenged right now, and even more than before, because of the things that Dr. D was talking about. I'm going to be also talking about the monkey mind itself, where that came from, and who are the major players that are in that thought process. Okay, some symptoms that we want to watch out for, and then also some of the other things is identify how do you find your flow? How do you get back that flow? How do you keep your peace and balance in your mind? So I'm going to give you some techniques too as well that will help you to deal with what you're going through now, but also coming into the winter season. As Dr. D had mentioned, it is getting darker. There's a thing that's called SAD, S-A-D, seasonal affective disorder, where you're having less sunlight and you need that sunlight in order to have some balance. That's why a lot of people in like Seattle or the cold states that have snow ends are always cloudy. There's a lot more depression there. So I'm just going to focus a little bit on what really we can control in terms of our thoughts. Okay, so let's continue on. Please let me know if you have any questions as we follow through. So first thing, what is peace? Okay, I found two different definitions. freedom from disturbance, tranquility. I just want to have a peaceful time, just drinking a beer. That's all I want to do. Just no problems whatsoever. Then you have the mental and emotional calm. Okay. So in the section, if you can type in, what are some things that or just tell me, what are some things that you see as peace? What does peace look like to you? Talk to me.
Peace would be like keeping kindness between two people.
Okay, so that was peace between others. What about peace within yourself?
Feeling satisfied and fulfilled with where you're at in life or where you're going, and feeling like you're on the right track.
Okay, so there's a sense of satisfaction, there's a sense of accomplishment, or something that you're content in a sense, right? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Then we have a couple of comments in the chat, Dr. O. Bev said sleeping a full night. Ooh. And then Hazel said being calm. Carissa said lack of drama. Yes. Nisha said feeling in tune with the world. And then we have Michelle that said freedom from drama and noise. I know how to translate you, Michelle. And then Mariela said relaxed and well balanced.
Excellent, excellent. And you notice the thing that we see a lot of is drama in that. And that's one of the things I want to talk about with, finding peace is a lot of that letting go of the drama. But the thing is, sometimes we'll get caught up into other people's drama too. So talk a little bit about that. So I wanted to mention that really the goals of creating the peace that you have has to do with locus of control. How much control do you actually have? So if you take a look at the slide, we have at work, you don't have a lot of control over the piece as much because you never know how somebody else is acting or going to be acting or reacting. Okay. At home, you have a little bit more control because you're, with others and, it's a smaller group. But the key thing, and I want to talk about today, is the peace within yourself. This is where you have the most control. Okay. This is the place that will keep you from being sucked into other people's drama and other things that will cause that drama in your own head. And sometimes we cause the drama in our own heads ourselves. We'll talk a little bit about that too. Okay. So monkey mind. I heard this before and I was like, well, this is interesting because a friend of mine had told me about this. And it basically started years when Buddha was around. It's basically the idea that it's the inability to quiet the mind when there's a lot of thoughts going through your head, a lot of worries, a lot of ideas. In how many of you have ever felt that? I mean, you really think about it, you're having a hard time sleeping at night. My wife had gone through too. It's like, gee, I can't sleep. I can't turn my mind off. I can't turn my brain off. I've done that as well. And so that's one of the difficulties that we have is our minds are always going. That's the monkey mind. Okay. So here are some of the symptoms that you want to take a look at. One, inability to sleep, that was mentioned. Exhaustion, maybe due to the lack of sleep. Memory loss is one there. And inability to focus. No, that's just me. Sorry, a little bit, AD, adult attention deficit sometimes. But inability to focus. And sometimes when you're tired and you can't really focus, then your defenses are down. Okay. So let's take a look at the negative drunk monkeys. Now, a friend of mine had told me about this. I was talking to him. He was working for Keller Williams, and he had mentioned drunk monkeys. I'm like, drunk monkeys? What are you talking about? He goes, they talk about drunk monkeys as the monkey on your shoulder that tells you, drunk monkey, exactly what's going on. He's just saying things, right? So it's someone or some thought that you have that's negative. What do you think you're doing? You're never going to be able to do that. What's going on? Why are you doing that? These are the different thoughts that you have in your head that I call the drunk monkeys. Okay, those are the negative drunk monkeys, a part of this monkey brain, right? Okay, so some of the characteristics of the drunk monkey. One, they lie. Okay, they lie. And it's telling you you're not worthy. You hear voices in your head or just people or things in the past or whatever. They keep telling you, you can't do this. What's going on? Why are you even thinking about doing that? Those are lies, right? And one of the things that I've noticed, especially now in this whole world that we're going through, this situation, like with the COVID, with all the, the elections, all the stuff I hear, in part of my TEDx talk was looking at energy vampires. One of the things I mentioned was political ads and the media. Those are liars. They basically are. They want to get your emotions up. They want to get you all fired up. And once you're emotional, you can't think clearly. Okay. Those I consider, again, negative energy vampires, but also drunk monkey thoughts. So, again, they focus on fear. Biggest fear, if I can scare you, I said in my TEDx talk, if I know what your fear is, and I tell my students, my psychology classes, I know what your fear is, you're mine. I can control you. Okay. So you have, people who will do that. So anytime you have a fear that pops up in your head, identify that as a negative drunk monkey telling lies to you. Okay. Insecurity, doubt, worry. Okay. Some people get butt hurt. Sorry. A lot of people are very sensitive and they get butt hurt. And then that becomes that negative drunk monkey. Well, why was I saying that? How come she said that? I don't believe that she said that. Wasn't even talking about you, but you took it personally, which I'll talk about later when we talk about the 4 agreements. Okay. So one of the things you got to be careful of with drunk monkeys is they love company. Okay. I was trying to describe to my stepdaughter that you've got to be careful if you come across somebody who is has an angry drunk monkey on their shoulder, right? And they're, it isn't about you, but it riles up your drunk monkey. And then they start battling at each other. That's what you have to be careful of. So if you can control yourself, you're not going to let that other drunk monkey get to you. So another thing that people tend to do is catching flaming arrows. I talk about this in another workshop where if somebody is saying something to you and they're trying to get at you, it's like flinging the flaming arrow, right? Going straight at you. You have a choice. You can either let it go by or other people tend to do this. They'll catch it, stick it in the heart, stick it in the heart, and then take it personally. Not a good thing. It's not going to help your mental health. Also, one of the things to think about too is that even though that situation may have happened, you go home and you continue to think about it. As you continue to think about it, you relive it. As you relive it, your body responds to that situation. Where's that taking you? I mean, you're getting close to PTSD. It's what a lot of people who have PTSD do. They're physiologically responding to whatever goes on. And it's hard for them to control that. So if you can stop it and nip it in the bud by not even catching those flaming arrows, or or having those type of issues with it, you're going to be a lot farther ahead mentally and closer to peace. There's a story that I heard about the Buddha where he was walking with a friend and somebody came up to him and was just yelling at him, just screaming at him, calling him names, and he was just standing there listening to it. And then the person left and his friend said, "Why didn't you respond?" The Buddha's response was, "I didn't want to accept his gift." Think about that. Anytime anybody gives you or attacks you or does anything, you have a choice whether you want to accept that gift or not. Okay, those are flaming arrows that he was throwing at the Buddha. Didn't catch him. Okay, and I'm going to show you later a little exercise that's going to help you to mentally go through and kind of pass those things through you. Okay, any questions so far? Curious? Okay, I'm just listening in right now. So the other part of the play or the drama that happens in our heads, because they're going at each other, is the Zen Monkey. Now, this is something I thought, well, you know what? If you have the part that causes the chaos, you have to have the part that's going to, have the peace that it's trying to connect to. Sort of like the devil and the angel on your shoulders example. Excuse me. So let's take a look at the Zen Monkey. I came up with this today. So I like the Zen Monkey is like Sasquatch. Everyone has one, but they're hard to pin down. In other words, it's hard to focus on the positive because we're so trained to focus on the negative. Have you noticed that? Again, TV, commercials, politics, all this stuff here focuses on the negative. Like I said in my TEDx talk, hey, if it bleeds, it leads. So those are the type of things that you don't want to get sucked into. First thing we say, don't watch TV, don't watch the feeds, stuff like that. Once you do that, then it gets you all riled up, then you're sucked in, okay? So we take a look at, the Zen Monkey focuses on the positive, okay? Positive of love, you have a joy, Zen Monkey, peace, hope, okay? And it also loves company too as well. And part of my Energy Vampires workshop that I do too, I talk about bringing the positive people closer to you and the negative people on the further out in your circle of influence. So if you do that mentally, that with your thoughts, that will work as well. Okay. So just imagine those negative thoughts, the little drunk monkeys, and you're like, nope, sorry, I'm not going to listen to you today. You're going over there. And then the Zen Monkey says, remember to breathe. Then you recenter. Okay. Cool. So now let's identify a number of ways that you can tame your monkey mind. Remember, your monkey mind is jumping around. You're trying to figure out things. You're worried about things. Oh my God, what's going to happen? How's this going to go? I don't know what I'm going to do. This is driving me crazy. Okay. So here are some suggestions that I highly recommend you do. One, the concept of three. I talked about this in my Energy Vampires book and also the workshop, that you only can control how you think, how you feel, how you react. That's it. You cannot control how anybody else thinks. You cannot control how anybody else feels. You cannot control how anybody else reacts. Okay. So why worry about it? You can only control how you react to things. If you happen to say something and somebody reacts badly, go back. I check. So, well, did I do anything wrong? Did I say no? Okay, I'm good. I've had students who have come back to me and said, just understanding that concept of three principle really made a difference because they stopped trying to change the other person. They stopped trying to please the other person. Okay. So understand that the only things you truly have control over is how you think, how you feel, how you react. That's it. Okay. If you try to control somebody, then resentment will come up. Okay. So be careful of that. All right. Remembering to breathe. That's the name of our life coaching, my wife and I. And the reason why we came up with it is because I always kept reminding people, remember to breathe. We forget to. Our mind is going, trying to figure things out. We start to shallow breathe. I don't know what to do. I'm starting to worry. I'm starting to get, what's going on? Stop. Take a deep breath in. And then let it out. Okay, I'd like for everyone to try this. And this is the way that you mindfully breathe. And remember to breathe. It's 4 seconds through your nose. Hold it for 4 seconds, then out through your mouth for 4 seconds. Okay, so let's give it a try. And then you can let me know how you feel after. Okay, deep breath in. Then out. Deep breath in. Then out. Just that little bit really makes a difference. I had another student who said that she did that when she was getting anxious and it really calmed her down. And also she was taking some shooting lessons, and that was one of the things that they told her, to take a deep breath and remember to breathe. So tell me, I'm just want to get a feel for how everyone's doing. Did anybody notice a difference when they actually focused on the breath?
We have Selena in the chat. She said that she felt more refreshed.
Excellent. Excellent.
And then Cassie said she felt calm. Julie said the same. I feel calm. Bev said yes. Tracy said immediate calming sensation. And then Julie also said in the moment.
Yeah. And that's the key. The key is being in the moment. And what that does, it slows your mind. It slows your mind to focus on something that is essential to your life, is essential to your well-being, is your breath. As you breathe, to inspire, that's where the word inspire comes from, to breathe life into things. It connects with spirit. And one of the differences between the drunk monkey and the Zen monkey, drunk monkey is tied into ego and pride and all of these things that will constrict. Fear constricts. Okay. Worry constricts. Spirit flows, flowing water. Everything flows. So this way you find your flow when you breathe. You reconnect with your essence, basically, is what it is. So again, remember to breathe. And just doing that every once in a while, when you start to feel yourself going, oh man, okay, hold on. Remember to breathe. Deep breath in for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4, and then out for 4. Then you can reset and then move forward. Okay. Another thing I'd like to share too is a mantra that I shared with my stepdaughter, is when your mind tends to continue, again, that monkey mind starts to be thinking. What ends up happening is that a way that you can stop it is and I teach my Psych 205 class this too, a personal social adjustment class, is to be able to step back from yourself. And the way to do this, stepping back from your mind and what you're thinking, is to say, interesting. Okay. Want everybody to try that. Say, interesting. And then see what happens to your thoughts. Do it a couple of times. Interesting. Okay. What it does, it actually stops your thought process, because interesting is non-judgmental. Well, that's interesting. There's no judgment there, because once we hit judgment, then we start going down a path of getting emotional about it, going, interesting. Even if I do something stupid, which everybody does, I still do. It's like, interesting, Steve. That was a strange way of thinking, or why'd you do that? That's not judgmental, but what it does, I step back from myself and I become the observer of my life and trying to figure out, why did I do that? And really take a look and see if there's something that I need to change, because we all do. Okay. So give me some feedback. Anybody have anything when you did the interesting? What are your thoughts there?
This is Ellie. I think it just kind of reemphasizes what you were talking about in regards to the mindful breathing. So you're still like pausing, but it's kind of like another strategy per se. So maybe the breathing, right, might not just be specifically for you. So maybe you need a little bit more like some words to actually stop your thought process. So that's how it kind of, the way that I was kind of interpreting it as well.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that you could use both. You may need to use both, because if there's something that you're really frustrated at, you may need to breathe first. Okay, hold on, breathe. You're really angry. Yeah. And then you calm your mind down and you say, wow, that was interesting.
And what's interesting too, since you brought that up, is at least for myself, I tend to, when people tell me, okay, like, obviously you're upset, calm down, take a breather, I take offense to that. And I'm like, okay, first of all, and now I'm like, no, it's actually, like you said, you need to, interesting. And they're saying that for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good awareness to have. And you need to have that awareness of how you respond to things. And that's great. Then you can be able to use it, and that'll really help you out too. The more you do it, the better you become at it. Okay. And that's one of the key things of anything. I mean, I can give you all this information. I tell my students at the beginning of class, I go, I'm going to disseminate information about psychology, about understanding yourself. You have a choice. You can either hold on to it, hold it close to your heart, apply it, and be a better you, or you can say, Dr. O, you're full of it, and throw it in the trash can of your mind. Your choice. Doesn't affect my self-esteem whatsoever. Okay, it's your choice, and this whole thing is about your choice. Your choice on focusing on the negative or the positive. Negative drunk monkey, listening to their lies, or the truth of who you really are, connected to the spirit. Okay, so those are the things are very important. And I need to get my assistant, Erica, come on in. I'm going to show you an example here. I need my assistant here for this one. And this is something, and you have to let me know if you see me. Let me see if I can see myself. Close this up. Okay, can you see me? And then my assistant here, come on over here. Why don't you sit right, let's see. Here, I'm gonna give you some pins. Can you see these pins, gang?
Yeah.
You can.
We can see you.
Oh, you see your hands?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, now I'm gonna give them to her. So this is something that I want you to be able to remember seeing when this happens to you. This is something that I learned as a therapist, as a life coach. Whenever somebody gets angry at you or they start telling you there are problems, okay, you do it one at a time. Okay, so she give them to me one at a time, right? Okay, can you see what's happening? Okay, what did I just do? Anyone?
You took them away. Well, she gave them to you.
Okay, what am I doing?
You're receiving.
Okay, what am I doing right now?
You're holding it.
I'm holding them, exactly. And then I go home, I take it out on the kids, and take it out on the dog, right? Okay, so this is what I want you to remember whenever somebody comes at you or tells you or starts complaining or whatever. Okay, give them to me one at a time again. Those are her problems. Really? Okay. Oh, I understand. Never thought of it. Really? Okay, what did I just do?
You
You
released.
didn't hold them.
Exactly.
You
I
put them,
to
set
the
them
side.
down.
Exactly. I put
You
them to the
acknowledge
side.
them, and then yep.
Ding, 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 ding. Exactly. I acknowledged them. I still had eye contact. I still was looking at her. I still was, giving her time. But I wasn't holding on to these because they're not my issues. They're not my problems. Right. So then what I do, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that reminds me of active listening, like how we can be, or practice on listening, but also at the same time tying this into ensuring that you can still listen and actively be engaged, but you don't have to take on and like you said, the arrows, you don't have to stick it to you.
Exactly. You don't have to be that pincushion for the flaming arrows. Exactly. And but people tend to do that, they say, well, if I don't take the arrows, I won't be they'll think I don't care. No, this is what you really care. Is like, so she gave me her issues and her problems. So now what I do is I give them to her, but in a different way. Have you ever thought of this? Well, this is really interesting, but look at it this way. How about this? Right? They're not mine. They're hers, and they're her responsibility. Okay. What do you think of that? Thank you. So what are your thoughts there, gang? Is it doable?
I believe so. One of the things I do, and this is something I've been practicing, is when someone comes to me, I'll let them know if I am available to take that on mentally.
Very good.
And I'll let them know, like, I cannot take on what you're giving me at the moment.
Yes.
And that's like a boundary I've had to set, because like you said, you can get everything piled on and it starts weighing you down. And so I let them know up front whether if I can receive what they're giving me.
Yeah. Exactly. And that is extremely important, that you have that ability to self-preserve, especially in these times right now. There's something that kept going into my head this over the summer and stuff like that. And I told my wife, I go, fortify, fortify, fortify. What does that mean? Fortify. You can fortify your house. You can fortify, your, whatever, but fortify yourself too. Fortify your mind, which means basically to, get everything in order, and that way you're set and you're able to take care of yourself. Because one of the things that my mother-in-law once said too, which is what we always say, is that the best caregivers are the ones who take care of themselves, or include themselves in the ones who they take care of. And you have to take care of yourself. It's not being selfish, it's important. And if you don't do it, who will? That's something to really think about. Who will if you don't? Okay. So what other thoughts anyone that you guys have? Anything else?
Yeah, Steve, very quickly, I thought that exercise with the pens also helps you to do away with any messianic complex you might have. This notion
Oh,
that you're
yes.
a savior for everybody. So
Yes.
in a leadership position, and people bring you their issues, you feel like you have to have an answer, or you have to save them in some kind of way. And so in this way, this helps to do away with that hyper empathy kind of
Correct.
thing we sort of have from time to time.
Excellent. Excellent. You are not the savior. And that's one of the things I learned as a psychotherapist. You are not the savior. People have the freedom to choose. And sometimes people choose stupid. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. I have chosen stupid, but I've learned from it. I've always said there's 3 types of people in this world. There's the ones who are dumb, who do something and they never learn from it and continue to do it over and over again. The smart person does it, learns from it, changes their behavior. The wise person watches the other 2 and doesn't do it at all. So yeah, that's a great point. Yep. Savior complex. Not a good thing. So, well, let's go over the last thing. Here's the 4 agreements with Don Miguel Ruiz. And one of the things that with Don Miguel that I really liked, and I talked about this before, the concept of 3. Okay, that's coming up now. You can control how you think, how you feel, how you react. That's it. But Don Luis Miguel, I talked about the last time that we did the Hacienda de Paz, trying to create your own personal place of peace. Behind me, this is our serenity room, and basically, this is where we come to recenter. Okay, so if you go with the 4 agreements, you have and these are the things that are extremely important if you keep reminding yourself of it. Great book, should read it. Is that he says, first one, be impeccable with your word. Not only about what you say about others, but more importantly, how you say things about yourself. Don't put yourself down. Again, that's the negative drunk monkey talking. Excuse me. Don't say things that will make you less. That's a negative drunk monkey. Again, be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say the things that you mean. Avoid using words against yourself and gossip with others, those type of things. Second one is the hardest one, I believe, which is don't take things personally. Do not take things personally. And I've heard somebody that asked me before, and says, well, when should you? Never. It's not about you. Most people are worried about other things other than you. That's when ego comes in. This is about me. This is what they're talking. They're talking about me. Again, that's catching that flaming arrow and then making yourself a sacrifice, so to speak. So again, nothing that others do is because of you. But that's defeating ego if you start to take things personally. Third one, don't make assumptions. Don't assume. You heard that old saying, assume, make an ass out of you and me. It's pretty much true. Don't assume. Okay. So, find the courage to ask the questions, express what you really want, be there, and really be connected with, again, the drama that's there. That, as you said, I can't take anymore right now. I'm at my limit. It doesn't mean that I don't care for you, but I have to take care of myself. And if they don't like that, then oh well. Okay. Then the last one is always do your best. Some days you're going to be doing well. Some days you're not. Some days you're not doing well. You know what? That's okay. You know, don't be so hard on yourself, and don't flip back up and say bad things. Like, God, I'm lazy. I can't believe that I didn't do anything. Especially you type A personalities, firstborns have a tendency to be run, and make things perfectly. I'm type B. So it's kind of like laying back. So, you know what? It's my fault. I did it. I'm not going to beat myself up over this. Okay. So 4 agreements: be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. Okay. So let's go back. All right. Takeaways. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. Okay. You are extremely important to take care of yourself. Include yourself in the ones that you take care of. Okay. Remember to breathe. Mind the concept of 3 and the 4 agreements, and practice it every day. Identify those negative, drunk monkeys, and put those to the side further out into the your mind thought, and then bring in the positive Zen monkey. But remember to breathe. And interesting. So tell me, what did you guys get from today?
Okay, so we're going to open up the floor and ask that some of you are writing inside the chat area, and that's fine. But this is such an important presentation that sometimes we'll get to your comments in the chat. But if you really want to get something answered, ask Dr. O directly, and that way we can be sure we got your question. And I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to ask Dr. O questions on this. So if you want to write it in the chat, we'll try to get to it and read it all. But the best way is to communicate with him directly and just sort of raise a question.
Okay, go right ahead. Do I have to do anything?
No.
No, can you hear me? Are you
Yes.
guys, can you hear us? Okay.
I
have
can
a
see you too.
question. With all of this and mental health and stuff like that, do you think culture plays a role in that? And when I say that is, I'm Hispanic, and with, growing up, my mom and, some of my family members were always like, just you got to get over it, like you just got to push through it. And, back when we used to, those kind of things, I always think that part of me finds it hard to work on that, at least with family, because of our culture. And a lot of my family members not really being understanding, or not really like respecting boundaries when it comes to that kind of things. Like even Veronica saying, like, I'm being more mindful, and I'm saying, like, I just don't have the bandwidth for it. I think a lot for me becomes like that guilt of, like, well, you need to do this because that's your duty as a daughter. That's your duty as, being part of the family.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because I'm Latino too, and then I have that Latino guilt, in a sense. That's both, and you're also Catholic. Well, I put that on top of it.
Yes.
Right. Amen. Yeah. Jack Canfield talked about, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with. I talked about that in my TEDx talk. And if you're with 3 people who are positive, you're more likely to be positive. If you're with 3 people who are negative, you're more likely to be negative. Again, it's who you hang around with. But then he asks his advisor or his mentor, but wait, are you saying that if my mom is negative, I'm not supposed to hang around with my mom? He goes, yeah, you're not obligated. What ends up happening there, the Latino mind is like, oh, hell no. Your mama's there. I said, no. I'm sorry. And this is, give you an example. I had a friend of mine who the mom would call and always complain. And I told her, I said, this is what you should do. Whenever she calls, hello, she starts complaining. Okay, love you. Bye. Click. Calls back again. Love you. Bye. Click. And then you're actually telling them, I will not listen to you. Love you by click, love you by click. And finally, she realized every time she talks negative, then, she started, okay, I think I better not talk totally negative all the time. Does that make sense? Does that help some? I mean, because
It
I
does.
know.
I mean, I'm not going to go right now and do that, right? Because I'm not there yet.
Right.
However, it is definitely, yes. So thank you.
Yeah. But what I also recommend, though, too, is in the meantimes, fortify.
Okay.
Fortify your mind, fortify your heart, fortify who you are. Because one of the greatest quotes that I love, and I don't know where exactly I got it, I've been using it for years. No one can die your death, so don't let them live your life. Too many times Latino families are too enmeshed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
don't
you can't
know
make
where
your own choices.
starts. Exactly. You don't know where one starts or when ends.
Yeah.
That's not healthy.
Okay.
But the respect will be there eventually. It's going to cause them to be uncomfortable because they're trying to adjust and they have to adjust their own thinking. But as long as you're solid with yourself and you do it out of love and caring, again, you can't control how they're going to react to it, but you can show them how to do that. A great example, I remember I'm the youngest of 6, and I remember a story where my brother, one of my older brothers, that my mom and dad were not very huggy, were not, but he broke them of that. I don't know exactly how, I was still young, but I knew nothing but hugs, right? And so they can change. People can change. But at the same time, you need to protect yourself. So
thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
And then we also have Julie who has her hand up as well.
Alrighty, go for it.
What I thought was really powerful about this, beyond like the focus on like self-care and whatnot, or like the concept of agreements, was just like the reminder to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
It's so simple, but between that and the allegory you used, or analogy rather, to sort of explain sort of the things that bring us joy and the things that bring us distress, was really powerful. And there's a quote from a writer that I like, about how sometimes we need to be reminded of things we know.
Mm-hmm.
And with the breathing thing, it's like that's something that I think some folks may know on like a logical level,
right,
but it may not be ingrained in an intuitive level where people instinctively go to that. And getting those reminders to where it's like, hey, you're stressed, you're in a bad place, it's okay, take a moment and breathe and ground yourself. And that is huge, because I think there's a difference between knowing something logically and knowing something intuitively.
And you know what's interesting about that, what made me think of, is that unfortunately we're socially trained really not, we feel guilty for being happy, right? I mean, a lot of us feel guilty. Should I be happy? There's so many miserable people out there. How come I'm happy? Why not? And it's just something that it's kind of ingrained in us. It's kind of a Pavlovian response, with the difficulties. But it's all, again, how you look at it. The battleground is in the mind. The mind will create the storm. And it's through that storm that you find, I talk about the islands of stability in my Energy Vampires book. And it's those type of things that you have to reprogram yourself, in a sense, to be able to be happy. Go ahead, Dr. D.
We got another question up here from Dean Long. Dean?
Dr. O, fantastic presentation. I just thought, like, when I don't fortify, I let my drunk monkeys interpret my emails for me. And then I make
that.
lots of assumptions and takes lots of things personally. So
Yes.
just want to say really appreciate what you had to present today.
That's excellent. I love that. I think we all do. Text messages too. Be careful.
Dr. O, I was particularly happy to see or hear you say that self-care isn't selfish. And as you know, I'm a big advocate of self-interest. So I was really happy to hear you say that. And let me just say to the audience, if there's anyone else out there that has a question for Dr. O, again, put it in, you can write it in the chat, but it would be even better if you could just ask him directly yourself. And did we see one from Michelle? Go ahead. Michelle, you on?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think that women and mothers in specific are absolutely taught the opposite, that we have to come last, that our happiness is last, and that we are responsible for making everyone else comfortable and happy.
Yes.
How do you combat that constant guilt?
First of all, guilt is a choice. It's your choice. Part of one of the things that I recommend is for you to have a place like our little, our little place, little room right here. I told one student one time before, and this is again part of the personal social adjustment class, create for yourself a little hacienda or a little peaceful place. It could be just a couch, and give yourself a timeout. If you have kids, this is a good way of teaching them boundaries, but also you're teaching them how to take care of themselves as well, especially if you have daughters too, they don't want to fall into that same kind of thing. But you can't feel guilty, because that guilt is that drunk monkey saying, oh, how come you're taking care of yourself right now? You're not a really good mother, are you? Those type of things start to come through. And if you're like, I guess not, that type of thing. Instead, you have to have the positive Zen monkey and say, no, you are love, but love can also show boundaries. Love can also take care of yourself. You have to love yourself before you can love others. There's a lot of messages, a lot of learning opportunities that you have to teach your kids, to teach your husband, to teach anybody that's around you, because you teach people how to treat you. Okay. And you've got to be very careful of that. Another thing to, again, see the things as opportunities to learn. The person, I think it was Alfred Adler that said, thank those who you dislike the most, for they teach you the most about yourself. Most people, I don't like Trump. I don't like these people. No, they're teaching you something about yourself if you step back. Okay, these type of things, whoever your father, for example, if you're butting heads, I talked about it in my psych class, butting heads with your father, you're a lot like that person, your father. Then you give yourself credit for it. If you understand and come to peace within yourself, then you won't be butting heads anymore. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. O, we're running out of time. I am delighted that you had an opportunity to step by, and this was a really important presentation that you gave. I want to tell them a little bit about the podcast, and a little bit more about your website.
Yes, definitely. And Derek, I have a link for our, okay, let me step back a little bit. My wife and I have our website, which is remembertobreathelifecoaching.com. And I can give you the link, Derek, or would you be able to send that out to everyone? How would that work? Or
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And also I have links to our community, which is a part of our life coaching, which we wanted to have a place where it's positive. There's so many negative things out there in this world right now. You want to go something that you're going to have support. My wife is a nurse. Okay. She has been a nurse for years. And so I'm a teacher too. So we want to work with frontline workers, but everybody, because even the family members of frontline workers are being affected by stuff that's going on in the world. So anyway, so I have a link that will give you, 25% off both an annual and monthly, depending on if you want. You got a 7-day free trial to check it out. There I have my podcast that I'm trying to put more stuff in, but I also am going to be doing things like this where I'm going to be teaching different strategies. I'm going to be doing other ways of taking care of yourself. We're going to do one on creating your hacienda de paz. How do you do that? And that's another way where in the community you can communicate with us, individually, separately. You can build your own how you would like it. There's different groups in there too, that you can connect with other people. Right now I have my Psych 205 class kind of going in and trying to get into my ideas there because they're part of the class. So it's kind of an extension. So it works out really well. So should I just go ahead and give you, Dr. D, or email you the links?
Yeah, go ahead and email that to me,
Okay.
and then we'll make sure that gets out.
Perfect. And please, if you guys have any questions whatsoever after this for clarification, please let me know. Just email me on my Central Arizona email. That's where I'm at. So we can continue talking. So I'm glad it helped.
We've been talking to, and he's been talking to us, Dr. O, Steve Ornelas, and has helped us grapple with things around mental health and take some of that stigmatization out of it. Help us to know that when we have these traffic jams in our head, that we can get out and straighten those things out. We're not weird. We're not deranged. We're not demented. It's all perfectly normal. Dr. O has provided us with strategies to clear that. Thanks, Dr. O, and thank you for joining us. I want to thank the audience for joining us. We'll be back again next Thursday for another conversation with colleagues, and we'll see you then.
Thank you, and remember to breathe. Awesome.